What's going on, everybody? I'm going to be back on my video stuff. Gotta get out more content and everything like that. I'm also trying to make a different approach to videos. No shade to anybody that talks about hot topics. I will cover some of them, but I don't want to cover a lot of them because the traffic for it is big. But I will try to do like big, urgent, big news. I wanted to do something different. Before I go on, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the C3 Ultimate Wrestling channel. Make sure you like and comment. I try to respond as much as I can, especially with wrestling content. I'm trying to tell you guys things from not only a wrestler, but a booker and a promoter and a fan's point of view as well. Let's get into it. I wanted to talk about the art of storytelling, or a feud, if some people don't understand what I'm saying. I haven't watched all of Full Gear yet, but I did watch like the first two matches. And let me say, MJF versus Darby Allin is one of my favorite matches of 2021. The fact that these were two young men that worked like that was awesome. And the story that they told leading up to it was awesome as well. When you think of storytelling, some people are always like, oh, okay, well, it's just a feud for a couple months. You can have a story in there, but then you have stories that have longevity in feuds. For example, Cena and Orton has not faced each other in years, but they can pick up where they left off because of how great of a chemistry they have as wrestlers. So I feel that MJF and Darby Allin, they have that kind of thing. They started Full Gear, and then in a couple years, maybe next year, who knows, they can main event an AEW show for the AEW title. That's the magic. That's the thing right there. When you're compelled and when you're taken into a story, you don't care who wins and loses. You want to see the story. You want to see how can this continue. This feud can continue, especially how MJF was trying to break Darby. And how Darby was like, people have been calling me loser and all of this all my life, and you're not going to break me. And it was to the point to where MJF had to use something to actually defeat Darby. You see how you can pick up from that. They can continue the feud after this. They can cool off and they can do something else. And another thing, a storyline will make you forget where you are. We are at a time to where if a wrestler loses 2 times in a row on a pay-per-view, let alone the TV shows, they're being buried. Darby lost to CM Punk, and then now he lost to MJF. But nobody's saying he's buried or he's misused or anything like that. The placement is right. The placement is correct. We're happy for Darby. We're happy for MJF. MJF does a great job because people actually legit hate him. Even the small things that he do on Twitter and what he posts and stuff like that, a lot of people like that. These are the things full storylines to the fact that you want somebody to hit the bad guy. And I think that is a missing art, in wrestling, because the bad guy wants to wrestle as good as the good guy sometimes. And when that happens, who are we cheering and who are we booing? And most of the time, sometimes people will forget a lot of things in your match because you're trying to compete wrestling-wise with the face. That's a missing art in wrestling now. And that's why there's no big stories and stuff. And that's why people say, oh, they're getting buried. They're getting buried. There's a few matches this year that had me on the edge of my seat. This was one of them. I was like, wow, I was amazed. Going into another storyline is Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. Now, I didn't watch the match yet. I will watch it. And that was a great storytelling too. A lot of people are mad because they stopped. It was off and on. And to a certain point, sometimes storylines can simmer out if they're not executed right. But the thing was, people still love Adam Page, despite the fact that CM Punk came, Bryan Danielson came, Malachi Black came, Andre Idolo came. All of these new these new signees came to the company, and a lot of people did not forget about Hangman Adam Page. And that's saying a lot because in a lot of wrestling companies, when they sign somebody that's an ex-WWE star or a big guy on the independent circuit, a lot of people don't care for them or they'll like push them to the back. So I commend AEW for doing what they did, and I'm glad that the audience did not forget Adam Page to the point that it was an emotional win for him. The storyline stems from the group that he was a part of with Omega and the Bucks and them, and then even how Kenny and him were the tag champs for a little bit, and then it was just off and on feuds with tag matches and single matches and stuff like that, and it worked. It really worked. People are still talking about it. That's a good story. That's good storytelling. That really was. And WWE, at times, they have great storytelling too. You know, a lot of people don't like it, but, you know, I'm not one of them. You know, if it's good wrestling, it's good wrestling. The Bianca and Sasha Banks feud, that was good storytelling. Lashley and Drew, I like the story that was being told there. Usually an authority figure with the McMahons, that's a good story, i.e. Roman Reigns, Stone Cold, Bryan Danielson. Like, all of these are good stories. You know, some of them are not as recent as what we're talking about, but that's what gets you involved to the point to where the story is so good, you can pick it up and you can finish it. You can end it there or you can do something else. And with MJF and Darby freaking Allin, we already see it. And that's okay. People would like to say, oh, it's so predictable. And don't get me wrong, you do want to shake some stuff up, some stuff sometimes like that. But it's like when you watch Endgame on at the movies, when you watch Avengers Endgame, we knew eventually that Thanos was going to lose, but we wanted to know how. So that's the thing. It's not even about always being predictable. It's about how will this go down? What will happen? This was interesting. Let me look at that. That's what it is. It's always about interest. A storyline and storytelling should always pique you. The underdog story works when the guy is an underdog, not when he's trying to wrestle with everybody. The heel storyline, I'm better than you, works when the heel isn't always trying to compete. And MJF really did a great job because he started off competing with Darby with wrestling and the moves. And then at the end, took the life out of the room when he used his ring and the way he pinned. I'm glad it wasn't just a push him down and pin. It was like a rollover pin. I thought that was pretty dope. MJF is showing a lot of these guys how heels are supposed to work. And I hope and I pray that a lot of people who do wrestle and look up to these guys are taking notes. This is Chris Classic. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. God bless you. I love you and God loves you. And let's take it home.